unbreakable in terms of when he's going to summon the ulti and sound off the Ornn horn. It just makes it not nearly as daunting of a task when you don't constantly have to play around Braum's cooldown there. And the final pick of the draft here for Immortals will be Graves there in the jungle for Xmithie. So we have 3 different marksman-style champions. Of course, because the Cog is AP, it plays like more of an artillery mage as opposed to an auto-attacker. But still, we have 3 long-range damage dealers, and we have 2 big meatballs. So that's the Immortals' recipe for success here in this game.
It is interesting, you know, they did decide to go with that Graves. You know, I think they just felt like they wanted a little bit more damage. But, you know, I also think that something like the Trundle could have actually, you know, functioned pretty well. I'm not sure if it was banned out there. I didn't see it on my quick glance at the end. But
it is not.
I do think that you could have gone towards something like the Trundle. I think it helps to negate the Volibear very well and also set up for the poke. I love Trundle in combination with poke champions. You know, the Pillar makes it almost guaranteed that you're going to be able to land the kog'maw ult, so I think that's a pretty powerful combo. But we'll see how it does work out. I just find, you know, when I play Graves, that it can be difficult sometimes into champions like Azir because of the tremendous amount of range that they have. It can be actually difficult to access that backline, so we'll see how he can perform. But Graves will have the advantage in that 1v1 against the Volibear, and maybe that's more what they're trying to play for.
I also like the ability to use the smoke screen to sort of halt some of the dive potential of the Volibear and the Camille when they go in. Yes, Camille might trap one of your carries inside the Hextech ultimatum with them, and yes, Volibear has the ability to go unstoppable and engage, but Graves' smoke screen is a very powerful tool to sort of limit the offensive capabilities of those champions right after they go in.
It is. It's actually so disorienting, right? And that's one of the frustrating things about playing against Graves is you get smoke screened. You look like an absolute buffoon to all your teammates who just see you flailing around and are like, what is this idiot doing? Doesn't he see that the person's one hit?
Just hit
they're
the
standing
guy
right there. Just hit him. What are you doing? And you're like running away. You know, it's so frustrating to actually play.
It's a report inducer for sure. It makes you want to report your buddy because you think he's trolling you, but it turns out he was just stuck on the very edge of the smoke screen and couldn't get away. Oh, that's the worst. But Immortals are going to have to make sure they start going for those wins. Going back to what we were talking about here at the very beginning of the draft and what the desk was hinting at is time is ticking away. And Immortals are going to have to start picking up these wins, particularly against squads that should be within their reach. Like, when you're looking at realistic possibilities, yeah, you don't expect Immortals to take games off of the guys at the top of the table. I'm not walking into Immortals versus TL or Immortals versus Cloud9 and slamming all my money down on the table and saying, put it on Immortals. But I think that if Immortals are going up against one of these teams in the middle or the bottom of the pack, they should have a solid chance to be able to beat them, especially if they have a composition that has a clear-cut way to win like this with the 2 frontliners and then those 2 big backline champions with the Ezreal and the Kog.
And honestly, CLG is one of those teams that they kind of need to be able to beat, right? Yeah, CLG is 3 games ahead of them, but 100 Thieves has 4 wins, and they're an 8th, so that's the cutoff right now. Then above them is CLG and Golden Guardians. So those are the kind of teams that you need to be getting wins from, right? You know, we are going towards those final games of the split. They have 7 games remaining. They are 2 games back. You know, they've already played, a decent amount of games throughout the split, so they do really need to start picking up wins. And I don't know exactly what their strength of schedule looks like, but as you said, you can't count on getting wins against those top squads, so you have to pick them up where you can against teams like CLG, Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves, Dig, other teams that are around you in the standings.
We're on to the Rift here for the 3rd game of the day. Let's see if Immortals can pull it off after that close game yesterday where they ended up taking the loss against the Golden Guardians. CLG is one of those squads that sometimes Pobelter can pop off and just make carries happen daily, nightly, and ever so rightly. His last game that we saw them play against Dignitas, not the best, 1-3 on the Zoe. Didn't exactly have the most luck on that one. This new kog'maw skin is adorable. What, does he have a backpack?
He does. Well, I think it's a book. It's like his magic tome or something, maybe. But yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. They turned kog'maw from this, hideous monster into just this cute little puppy.
That is the cutest goddamn thing I have seen.
I don't think you're allowed to kill that champion.
The butterfly one that tries to fly away, and you know how I'm always rooting for him. Like, that's a fantastic skin. I am all about that. Whatever that thing is, Riot, make a new Skarner where he's one of those. I'm a fan of that thing. Let's see how it plays out for Insanity here, getting the first auto attack onto Pobelter there with the enchanted range, and already off to a good start.
The dominant laning phase already here for Insanity, landing that first auto. He's playing Phase Rush. Very interesting. So does feel like he's going to have to play it somewhat safe. wants the ability to kite it out. You can proc that pretty easily, and Phase Rush is just becoming so popular for so many mid laners because they just feel like it gives them the ability to get out of situations where they would otherwise have to have flash, right? And when you're playing against someone like the Volibear, if Volibear tries to run straight at you, like, if he doesn't have flash, you're going to E slowed down, Q auto, phase rush is procced, and he's zooming away, and that gank is over. So I do think it makes sense, especially against something like the Volibear, especially against champions even like the Trundle, who are so reliant on just kind of slowly walking at you to pull off those ganks.
As someone who only plays a champion that slowly walks at you, phase rush is obnoxious, dude.
Like,
it's
damn
so
you,
hard.
phase rush.
It's like, ah, darn. You managed to throw 3 abilities at me, and now I lose. All right, see you next time.
You
But
found
it
my
is
only weakness, walking away quickly.
my only weakness, walking in the opposite direction from where I'm trying to walk. Oh, no. Wiggily is invading nice and early on here, though. I like this. He's trying to steal away the red buff of the Graves, and it looks like he'll have no issue whatsoever going about doing that one. Of course, he did lose his own red buff, so he's just ended up going to be breaking even on that one. Vertical jungling has been enabled.
Uh-oh.
And this dive succeed onto Allorim. This is super disaster if it fails, but there's plenty of minions there if they can make this one succeed.
They interrupted the
Wiggly's
charge.
got the damage. Allorim's keeping himself alive, and the damage goes through. Ruin tries to flash out. Oh, I thought he was going to live there with 1 HP, but it is a 1-for-1 at the end of the day.
That was really close to being a disaster for CLG. It looked like the Searing Charge got interrupted, or did he just shortchange it? I'm not actually...
I got to see the replay. That was...
I would really like to see that replay, because it looked like he was about to land a double knockup, but if he lands a double knockup, he would just kill them both probably, or at the very least get the kill and live. Either way, you know, not that bad for him. He does lose some minions, but, you know, as a top laner... Oh, all right, well, Flash Force.
Wiggily.
You're just dead anyway, you
plays
are.
done early on here in this match as Xmithie shows up trying to clean up Pobelter, and the damage comes through. kog'maw passive. I'm a cutie pie special.
He got the double kill. He actually, Graves didn't even have to hit Wiggily, so Wiggily just took way too many power shots there. Underestimating the power of the tower. kog'maw gonna make you pay, utilizing the full potential of his kit. With
all
the passive.
5 abilities. That's the punishment you deserve for killing that cute little thing. It comes back and it blows up, and now you end up giving the gold right back over. Well done from the side of Immortals, putting a stop to that. But I do want to give credit to Wiggily, getting involved in these lanes nice and early, having a lot of presence in this jungle. And here he comes again. The bear is there, and Insanity has no way out, and that poor little creature will not be able to take anybody with him this time around.
Yeah, Apollo TPing in here, but a little bit too late. Ezreal not going to be able to be too effective in that situation. Good regank. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed that he was up there without any ward again. Yeah, it looked like he actually just got hookshot. I think he got hookshot out of that, and that it looked like takes priority. I do believe it was hookshot, and then he got bear stun, not the other way. But either way, he did get that prevented. Pops the camping emote as he's dead on the ground there. We'd love to see that. Some good usage there. And Insanity just has to flash out. He didn't actually have the abilities. The damage does come back here, though. Multiple tower shots did land. He gets the first kill, and then second one comes through with the passive. So Wiggily just taking too many tower shots. That first one was honestly pretty good for Insanity. The second death hurts a lot more as he didn't have teleport to get back and was going to lose some minions there. But still, the Lost Chapter early buy is always going to feel really, really nice. And still expecting him to go in towards a tier, just a little bit delayed. Lost Chapter is so powerful for your laning phase because of the passive in the early game. You know, when you can grab that at like level 4 or something, as he did, every time you level, you get 20%, I believe, of your mana back. So it becomes so ridiculously efficient. Yeah.
Lost Chapter is just one of those mandatory things that essentially removes mana as a resource for a lot of mid laners unless you're just, you know, completely spamming it haphazardly. But Wiggily once again hanging out here on the top side of the map, stealing away the Krugs from his opponent, making sure to continue making the most out of those jungle invades as Xmithie will pick up this bottom side Scuttle Crab here. 98 more gold in his pocket. Game still favoring CLG despite the fact that the kills are even. You can see they've got farm advantages in mid lane, very slightly there in bottom side, as well as Ruin and Allorim are getting into the 1v1. Wigglily's coming to show up as Allorim goes in for the 1v1 before Ruin has his level 6. Allorim wanted to take advantage of that situation, buffers through the stun to charge himself away, but it's not going to do a damn thing, not in a 3v1. Good teamwork there from CLG.
Popping the tent, dropping some marshmallows on the fire, roasting them up. Allorim's getting the camping treatment this time, and Pobelter moves up. They will lose at least a little bit mid lane, and it's not perhaps the end of the world to get behind on Ornn, but it's more concerning when you're against a champion like Camille who can snowball a game, who can get ahead and really have that split push pressure. So Allorim definitely being picked on here, gets dove once, and then a 3-man play up to that top side very quickly after, but he's out on the map.
Yeah, we can see Xmithie trying to move in there and steal away a red buff. And, I mean, sure, he got the red buff, but Smoothie shows up. Wiggily is right there. They immediately get the kill onto him, and red buff is transferred over to the Thresh.
Xmithie must have thought he had a lot more time because they made that play up to the top side, but a little bit slow on it. Smoothie made the roam, and Wiggily was there, had the blast cone to get right in on him. So Xmithie already behind a little bit because of those kills that Wiggily has actually been able to get done. You know, yes, he's up in farm, but who cares when you have the 2 kills and the 3 assists? The experience and the gold more than makes up for that. So, you know, Graves not having that early game he would have wanted. You know, I talked about the ability to maybe pick something like a Trundle here, but you went towards the Graves because you wanted to try to be able to bully around in the early stages, and that definitely has not happened.
Xmithie dashing himself over the wall, trying to secure this Rift Herald now. He's got Hakuho right next to him to provide protection, as Wiggily will once again be looking for Allorim here in the top lane. The Hex Tech ultimatum is issued and will drag the Immortals top laner right back to his doom once more. Wiggily needs one more auto attack to finish him off, and he's got it. Now it's a 2v2, as Wiggily is just going to be left for dead. Ruin says, see ya, bro. I got some minions to farm up, as he's expecting more backup to show up from Immortals, doesn't want to overcommit, doesn't want to get himself killed as well, and it ends up being a 1-for-1.
The game plan, though, is becoming so incredibly clear here for CLG. It's get Ruin ahead, let Ruin carry. Unfortunately for them, he's not getting most of those kills. Smoothie could be in trouble here, has no flash.
Smoothie gets stunned up, the damage comes through, and Xmithie picks up his 2nd kill of the game, but they're not done yet. Going further after Pobelter with a Glacial Fissure there from Hakuho, but Pobelter is able to get himself to safety. And now the play finally ends. This is such a bloody game, Isaac. 11 kills in 9 minutes.
It's pretty crazy, and credit to Hakuho and Xmithie, who were very effective on that little romp around the map. You know, they started the Rift Herald, didn't get that, but got to make a counterplay up on the top side, get a kill up there, then go down to mid lane. They counter gank Smoothie's roam, you know, killed him off. So that was pretty damn effective, and Apollo was not able to be punished whatsoever during that because he's playing the Ezreal and played it fairly safely. So, you know, Immortals battling back despite the fact that their top laner is not having a fun time whatsoever. They are staying relevant in this game, but I do think that they need to play behind him a little bit. You can't just allow your top laner to get fed on like this constantly, especially with the Rift Herald grabbed up now. I would be expecting them in the next couple minutes just to go right back up top lane, drop that, and try to get first tower gold for Camille.
Why not? Why not? At this point, with the amount that you've invested up there, you just got to keep going back, double down. Put everything in the same bucket and make sure that Camille is able to succeed against that Ornn, particularly because if Ornn stays ahead of her, if she doesn't hit those item breakpoints, we know what Ornn can do once he gets that tankiness that he needs, particularly when you look at the fact that it's Camille and Volley who are going to be the main threats against him, so itemizing just the armor feels very good. So Allorim needs to be kept down if CLG want to remain comfortable in that top half, as Immortals will go after their 2nd elemental Drake of the game. There is a control ward in the pit from the side of CLG. They are aware of what's going on, but that dragon doesn't matter because that dragon is not Allorim, and that is Wiggly's thought process as he goes to the top side here yet again. 2nd Drake over to Immortals, as top side we have the Rift Herald summoned up. We have CLG investing in that top lane tier 1. Perfect use of Shelly to take down the last 2 plates. Ruin doesn't care. He's just farming the wave after the fact, and Allorim just sits there and goes, well, this is my life now, because this is the situation that he has to deal with. This is so much focus on the top side from CLG, as Allorim attempts to stop Shelly before she gets off the second charge, but Ruin makes his way right back up into the lane to stop that from happening.
Able to guide it in there, no problem. And liking the emote mechanics here, Allorim making sure he was in range and vision of Wiggily before he popped the camping emote there. You know, walked over to the Krugs to be able to flash it for Wiggily there. But it's getting rough, right? You're going to get the Camille so much gold with this keeping up. The question is just, is that investment worth it? I do expect CLG to start contesting dragons at the 3rd dragon, so they are then going to hope that their Camille is in a position to pay off, to have all that time that they have actually put in really worth it, right? The Cull is going to cash out by then. He's going to have a lot of gold, and I think they're hoping that he has Triforce, and he actually already does before he even cashed out that Cull. So now with Triforce, Camille becomes incredibly terrifying for someone like the kog'maw. You know, if you get a hookshot flash, stun that kog'maw up, kog'maw can pretty much just die instantly with one Camille combo, and that can mean the end of the fight. So they're trying to empower those divers to really challenge the backline, which would otherwise be pretty safe.
Especially right now, when you look at the state of Insanity's loadout and inventory, teleport on the kog'maw, so no combat summoner spell other than the flash to help keep him alive, along with the fact that in his inventory, there's no early stopwatch or anything like that. He has the Archangel Staff, but remember, you don't get the shielding active until it's fully evolved into the Seraph's Embrace. So this champion is just entirely offense at this point in time, and it is up to Ruin and Wiggily to see if they can get on top of him and shut him down. Currently 2-2 on that kog'maw, though. Needs to get one more level to get that critical ultimate upgrade, as you were talking about, AP kog'maw. It's all about hitting those 6, 11, 16 breakpoints to get the extra range and really just be that artillery threat in the team fights.
Exactly. And Phase Rush also isn't going to help you against Camille, because you can run as fast as you want when you're in the Hex deck ultimatum, but you're just running in circles. You're not getting anywhere.
Musical chairs, take a seat anywhere on the ground, because that's where you're going to be once Camille jumps on you. Ruin trying to get himself back here in the top side. Tries to contest the Krug, but has to know something is afoot now. Goes for the hook shot into the wall, gets himself away. Camille's mobility makes it pretty easy to avoid those collapses unless you're just super unaware of what's going on. And Insanity clears out the wave in the mid lane in the meantime. You can see lots of players from the side of CLG are now hanging out there on that bottom side. Recalls being channeled now by support, jungler, and mid laner as they go back and prepare for their next foray out into the Rift. Control wards being picked up all over these inventories. 2 for Wiggily, 2 for Smoothie, 1 for Pobelter. Ready to fight for this vision and control this neutral territory. Drake is up in under 2 minutes.
I've actually got to give some credit to Allorim. When you look at the items, yes, of course, he's quite a bit behind on Ruin, but he's not useless by any means, right? You know, he's been pressured pretty much nonstop. Rift Herald there, you know, multiple dives, mid laner roaming up. You have the matchup pick for Ruin. They're giving him all the resources. You still have your Sunfire and Tabbies at this point of the game. He's only down 1 wave of CS with more to pick up with it pushing towards him. So all things considered, I actually think it's a job pretty well done. You know, maybe there's some situations where he could have anticipated the dives coming in and backed off earlier, but it is pretty hard to read all those situations. And if you're too passive and give up too much, then sometimes you lose so much farm that it almost would have been better to just attempt to fight off and try to get that farm.
So talking about attempted fights, we're looking at a game state where CLG has a 3,000 gold advantage, but they are down those first 2 elemental drakes, and this is Ocean Soul, which everybody knows is a very powerful late-game buff to have permanently. So for CLG, I am fully expecting them to fight for all these drakes hereafter, specifically because they do have this lead. They should be in a commanding position. They have good team fighting tools with an Aphelios that's got his Infinity Edge, with an Azir that's level 11, so he has the level 2 Emperor's Divide. Now Smoothie's finding the hook down onto Hakuho, takes him below half HP. Pobelter getting some damage on the back into that there as well. Loses about 1/3, but Ruin has come down from the top side. Allorim making his way down to the south side river. Wiggily eats a single Mystic shot, but considering Apollo does not have that Mana Moon evolved into the Muramana just yet, still only sitting on the basic Sheen as well, it's not going to hurt too much. CLG need to contest this one here. You're 3,000 gold up. Should be a winnable fight. Allorim is ready to go. Also has the level 2 ulti here on the Ornn. Pobelter trying to dance around these kog'maw ultis. Wiggily jumping into the middle of 4, looking to find the damage. Instead, only going to find his own death. Xmithie going on the killing spree. Mystic shot to finish off Smoothie and Wiggily. Both there are out of the picture. Allorim trying to find the kill into Ruin. kog'maw barely going to miss out there on the ulti. Xmithie picking up the 3rd Drake of the game here for Immortals. Gold lead be damned. Immortals will take that fight.
CLG just couldn't find the kind of fight they wanted whatsoever. Ruin was being marked by Allorim, so he never even got close. And all that ended up happening is Wiggily just ults into the backline where 3 marksmen instantly killed it, right? There's not much going on there. Great, if you can actually be a distraction as Camille flies in and one-shots the kog'maw, then that can work, but Immortals had a way better setup. They had the vision, they had blue buff on Kog, and you're trying to charge into this area where you're just getting poked down. Volibear is not nearly tanky enough at this point in the game, so, you know, watch Allorim. All he wants to do is actually keep Ruin out, right? So he is just trying to stay over in between them. You know, Ruin actually goes up on him, and they're just going to be dueling themselves. Volibear dies instantly. You know, Ruin's actually losing the fight to Allorim, and Insanity able to just constantly move forward here, spamming out these ults, even at max stacks where it costs so much mana. Because he had that blue, they push him out. They're now at soul point, and CLG in a lot of trouble here.
It's the Volibear players, I think, can sometimes experience the same problem that Hecarim players can, where you're running full blast, you're galloping down the lane, you got the adrenaline pumping through your veins, and you're ready to initiate, and as you do, you realize your team is 1,800 units away from you. And it's the same problem with Volibear. He runs in there, he's ready to go, his claws are sharp, he's big as hell, and you can't stop his jump, but nobody else can follow that. And it puts Wiggily in a spot where now, nobody in the team is in a position to back him up. They'd all have to go through an Ornn ulti to do it. And man, it just ended up looking so good for this Immortals squad who, even after getting this top lane tier 1 turret, yeah, they're still down a couple thousand gold, but they're playing well together. They're playing to their win conditions. They're using the kog'maw well. The Seraph's Embrace, now fully completed, has the extra shielding capability. Xmithie also has the Black Cleaver completed there on the Graves. Things are shaping up for Immortals. Also considering they're now at a point where they only need 1 more Drake to get that ever so important Ocean Soul, I like their state in this game.
Exactly. You've, as CLG, dedicated almost all of your resources entirely to getting your split push ahead. And now, because your opponents are at soul point, guess what you can't do? Split push. You have to team fight around that dragon, or you're just giving up soul. And then it doesn't even matter how far ahead you are on the Camille. You're not killing an Ornn who's sitting under his turret who has Ocean Soul. And you're never poking him down either. And, you know, it becomes pretty much an automatic GG. You know, kog'maw is never going to run out of mana. It's going to be able to spam infinite ults with that Ocean Soul. Ornn, you know, is so tanky that, you know, he's always going to have a chance to get a lot of regen from that. So it is really one of the most devastating ones that CLG could be going up against. They weren't able to execute in that team fight, and as a result, are in some trouble. But they have some time. They still have a gold lead, so yes, sir. They definitely can win team fights. They just have got to be able to really make sure they're on the same page. If Wiggly's going to dive in, it has to be the same time as Ruin and Smoothie are going forward to create space and push back those marksmen on the other side so that Pobelter and Stixxay can move forward and really get a lot of damage out.
I'm also particularly looking at this second item completion for Stixxay. We all know how ridiculous Aphelios' synergy with Runan's Hurricane is because of the fact that all the guns have those added bonuses. All the added bonuses work fully with the extra bolts from the Runans. So that'll be a big bonus for his team fighting, particularly in having to deal with these clumped up front lines of Hakuho and Allorim working together here for the Immortals squad, even with Xmithie jumping in there. So really going to be watching that one, seeing how soon he gets it. There it is, already actually up and running now as I'm talking about it, and he leaves the base. So that purchase is made, and that's very important for CLG because that Ocean Soul is coming up here in 65 seconds, and this is do or die on those neutral objectives here for CLG.
We'll see how many other members from CLG can complete a second item right before that. I'm not sure how much gold they have. Looks like Pobelter is going towards a Banshee's Veil, very likely trying to deal with some of this poke here from the Cog. Ravenous Hydra done there for Ruin, so he is at 2 items. That's great for them. And Stopwatch even purchased up from Smoothie. So they're trying to have their one fight power essentially as high as is possible. If anyone's going to be resetting, they've got to do it now, though. Get out on the map. Especially as Immortals, you don't want that hard engage 5v5 right from the beginning. You want it to go slow. You want to poke them out and have them whittled down to eliminate their opportunity to even try to engage. And that's where vision control, that's where setting up ahead of your opponent becomes so important. So they're pushing out mid lane. After mid lane is shoved, they can move over towards that dragon, but Ruin has to be a bit careful in the meantime. CLG is trying to set a trap, though, over by this dragon pit.
Hakuho caught out, maybe bursted down here, but the Gargoyle Stoneplay doing a lot of work, keeping him alive. Wiggily also having to get himself away. Ruin jumping over the wall, looking to find the damage down onto Xmithie. Allorim firing the ram right back into the fight, but Ruin gets himself away. CLG still looking to make sure their man gets out of this one as Xmithie is down to 1/4 HP, and CLG has control over the bottom river. Insanity still half mana, full HP. The Cog is still strong, trying to move up, clear out some of these wards. Remember, Ocean Rift means you must be extra diligent, making sure that the wards are cleared out of all the extra brushes. Ruin getting hit by a kog'maw ulti here yet again. Another one summoned down onto the very edge of the brush. Insanity's mana staying topped off. Xmithie in the pit, trying to maintain
Wiggily on the flank.
Aggro, take this one down. Wiggily coming in from the side. Here's Pobelter. Nice shuffle onto 3. CLG are making the fight happen, but it's already going to be Pobelter taken down, and the Immortals counterattack is true. The engage looked good. The follow-up did not. And Immortals will send CLG pack and tail between their legs. It's Ocean Soul for IMT. Unless Wiggily can work some kind of a miracle. This is going to have to be some... This will have to be some water into wine. Wiggily over the wall. No, sir. That bear is going up above the fireplace right there on the mantle. Take him as a trophy because Immortals are having everything go their way.
Yep, and that'll pretty much do it. As they're going to get Baron now because Wiggily died. Can't blame him going for that steal attempt. They had no eyes on him, and they didn't notice that there was actually a CLG ward in the pit. So there was a chance there that he actually gets that and potentially saves the game. But he was always going to die. He didn't have Ult or Flash to get back out. Unfortunately for them, he doesn't get the smite. They lose Baron anyway. You are now so behind against this team because Ocean Soul isn't just the health, it's the mana. And when you have an incredibly powerful long-range poke champ who is maybe the most mana-hungry champion in the game with kog'maw, like Ocean Soul is insane because you get mana back from that too.
So bad now for CLG, man. Losing the Ocean Soul and the Baron buff back to back like that is just so back-breaking 23 minutes into a game. You look at the score, you see 41.1 thousand to 41.6 thousand. You say, okay, it's not that bad. It's just that bad. Baron plus Ocean Soul adds so much hidden value to these teams. Put that together with the fact that Ornn is now level 14. He's got both of his items upgraded. He's got Graves' Black Cleaver upgraded. Now the kog'maw's in some trouble. They might be able to take him down, but he pukes all over Aphelios and gets himself a kill in the 1v2. You have got to be respectful of that damage.
The damage is so incredibly powerful, and because kog'maw Ultimate has that execute on it as well, as you get lower, it just gets more and more dangerous. So if you get hit, it is so rough to get out of there. Yasli Andries, the poke is enormous, likely building towards a death cap next. He can set himself up for that poke even. And now Xmithie is looking for the 1v1 on Ruin.
Man, all this time, all this effort invested into Ruin, and he has to run away from the Graves. That's not the situation that you can afford to be in as Immortals continue pushing down the mid lane. They will take down their first inhibitor of the game. Insanity trying to get out along with his bottom laners. Pobelter goes in with a very nice ulti, sweeping them all backwards. Immortals now in some serious trouble. Cog's already been killed off. Reinforcements have arrived to the tune of Allorim. Smoothie's going to be taken down now, but Ruin into the back, looking to finish off the last bit of Hakuho's HP. Now he has to try to escape. Xmithie and Allorim fighting a 2 versus 3. CLG will win themselves a fight and critically take 3 Barons away from Immortals.
Credit to Pobelter. That was a great flank there, finding the angle to get behind multiple marksmen and kill off Insanity, which was huge. And then as Ruin arrives, he finally is able to get back on one of those marksmen, deletes Apollo. So they do win the fight, but unfortunately for them, they have no minion waves. They're still trapped in their base, so they stave off defeat for now, but they are still in a really desperate situation. And they're going to have to try to hope they can make some sort of a miracle happen around this Elder Dragon.
Once again, when CLG and their fate looks completely grim, it's Pobelter showing up at the 11th hour trying to keep things afloat, trying to fix all the fires that are popping up all over the place. He will buy them a little bit more time. The Baron buff isn't going to result in much more here for the Immortals squad. That final Baron power play will come out right around 2,000, 2,100 gold. Let's take another look at how Pobe did it.
Pobelter over the wall, sweeps on in, shuffles 3 members back, in goes Wiggily, and down goes Insanity very, very quickly. Really nice engage. He does give his life for it, but as Ruin arrives, you can see the burst that Camille can put out onto one of those marksmen. The Q plus the Sheen proc from that Titanic, you know, from the Triforce is incredibly high amount of burst, and they do still have some options. You know, it has to be those instant kills, though. It can't be the long extended fights, especially now that Death Cap is completed. More and more Ornn items are coming through. You can see, you know, the upgraded Black Cleaver is done. Whenever Insanity and Allorim meet up, they can actually upgrade that Death Cap to the Death Crown and get even more value there.
That is disgusting. Like, that is so much. The only thing scarier than that cute little lizard wizard kog'maw is a lizard with a wizard hat. And a big wizard hat on top of that. Once Ornn is able to upgrade it, this dude will be able to do so much damage. You saw that, talking about the execution damage, that final kog'maw ulti doing like 500 damage to Stixxay's Aphelios. It's not going to get any easier from this point on, and the Elder Drake is actually spawning in a little over 1 minute, Baron in just under 2 minutes. So neutral objectives will demand an answer here from CLG. They won't be able to just hang out in the base. They'll have to answer both this mid lane push as well as the fact that Immortals will have priority over these neutral territories and will be able to set up ward lines first.
And Insanity's almost 16, and that's where you get 1800 range on that ultimate. And that is just absurd. He's not going to run out of mana. He has a blue buff and Ocean Soul, so I think that's pretty clear to everyone.
You can see the bar climbing back up. It's just, look, it's like he's in the fountain. Look at the bar.
Yeah, it's percentage mana every time you hit an enemy champion. You know, I believe that is still the same with Ocean Soul. So you're getting so much of that mana. You have a lot of flat mana because of that stacked up Seraph. So it becomes incredibly scary. And Insanity, you know, he can use that phase rush defensively early on in the game. But if you start winning those fights, you proc the phase rush and you're just running at him, spitting on him left and right. You got your big hat on your head and you're just running over the team fight.
The kog'maw popping off here for Insanity. Insanity and Allorim both. Considering we were talking about these players, the desk was before the game saying how they've both admitted that they haven't played as good as they would like to in previous games, and they think that they need to continue to step it up if the team wants to win. I think both of them are stepping it up this game. Allorim has handled an absolute, like, just really lousy hand being dealt to him with grace, and Insanity's been putting down a lot of damage here in the fights. Hakuho popping the stone plate, walking forwards, trying to zone CLG away. Pobelter's able to find the ulti down, onto 2. Ruin coming in from behind. Pobelter the first one to fall here in the fight. Insanity going to be taken down now. Ruin looking to issue the Hextech ultimatum down onto the back lines, but still going to be killed off. It's Insanity from the grave once again. The passive will find the damage for the kill. Mid laner down on both sides. CLG have also lost Ruin. Immortals still with control over the Elder Drake pit. Ruin dashing himself back away. Allorim trying to zone these guys out. Wiggily is still alive. He has no flash. He has no ulti. There is no blast cone. That means if he wants in, he's got to go the long way around. And Hakuho is saying, hell no, brother. He will keep him zoned away from this one. Wiggily in some serious trouble of dropping here if he stays very close to this one. Thresh hook not going to find much, only onto Allorim in the Bellows Breath, so he will not even get any CC value out of that one. Unstoppable negates it. CLG bringing in a TP. Xmithie trying to finish this one off. Elder Drake over to the side of Immortals as Pobelter shows back up, and even though they reinforce their lines, they cannot engage against such a powerful combat buff.
The Ocean Soul is just insane, and it really did showcase the power of it in that fight. I mean, Pobelter and Ruin had an incredible engage where they instantly kill off Insanity, but that's the only person they can instantly kill. And when you don't kill off a player who has Ocean Soul, they are going back to full health, you better believe. So Pobelter, despite the fact that he had like a minute long res timer and is TPing back in, everyone else on Immortals is still full health, even though they're tanking up the Elder Dragon and getting poked at and shot at over the wall by Stixxay. None of that matters. You have to kill someone instantly or you won't kill them at all. So now Elder, Ocean Soul, they're going to add Baron to the list because why not? They're going to be able to grab this, and it just doesn't feel like there's really any options for CLG besides continuing to try these flanks and hoping that you can not only insta-kill Insanity, but add Apollo to that list. Then maybe we can talk about a team fight win.
I don't know if we can talk about that team fight win, Isaac, because they're staring down the barrel of Baron plus Elder at the same time, plus Ocean Soul. Pretty much the 3 strongest team-wide buffs you can have in League of Legends
are now
all worn by the Immortals players at the same time. Elder is around for another minute, Baron for another 2.5, Ocean Soul for all of eternity until this game ends. Let's see how they're able to close it out. Mid lane inhibitor once again under pressure. Ezreal and kog'maw stepping forward, able to take that one down without any real threat to themselves.
Look at Stixxay's health. That's one hit of an ultimate from kog'maw was half of his health. And that's
Lizard
an executability,
wizard.
by the way. It's supposed to do more damage when you're low. He was full.
Yeah, maybe if he hits so if you hit him with 2, does it kill him?
Yes. Actually, 100%, because they have the Elder buff. He would have got 20%.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right. I wasn't even thinking about the execute. Yeah.
Yeah,
If Insanity hits Stixxay from full HP with 2 Rs.
But don't worry,
kills
it
him.
has a 0-second cooldown, so you can just use those windows to fight
And
back.
1800 range, so just stay in Fountain, and it won't be able to kill you off.
I
Smoothie
don't
gets
know
hit by
about
one. Look at how fast these things are raining from the sky. Good Lord. Immortals are just ramming down this base. There is nothing left of that first Nexus turret already. Second one under fire here. They're waiting on the minion wave to come up so they don't risk any sort of unwelcome turret aggro here. Stixxay gets hit by the first kog'maw ulti. Insanity, where's that second one? Okay, Stixxay is able to heal up there a little bit with the lifesteal thanks to the Scythe pistol. Ornn ulti coming through. Oh, Pobelter's about to get hit by the True Shot Barrage, but it will not be enough to take him down. Insanity going for those ultis, trying to finish him off. So much damage coming out of the Kog, coming out of the Ezreal. Stixxay trying to get himself away, but he will not do it. Now it's just all over, but the Nexus HP itself, Immortals, they don't even need to pad the stats. They will take themselves a win in 32 minutes.
Really well done there. Finally, Immortals establish themselves this late game lead. They are able to close. They've had a lot of games like this lately where it feels like they're in control, where they've outscaled their opponents, where they have this great late game setup, and they're not able to quite get the finishing blow. In this one, it looked really, really good for them. You know, CLG put all their eggs in the Ruin basket. It never really paid off. By the end of the game,
not at all.
Allorim was doing more, it felt like, in pretty much all the fights than Ruin was. You know, Ruin had that one good fight around mid lane where they got the 2 kills, but that was mostly off of the shuffle from Pobelter. It just didn't work, right? You invested so much into this Camille, but Ornn is still able to wave clear. They're stacking these dragons. They could never prevent them from actually getting towards that soul. And it felt like once they did, it was just absolutely over as kog'maw was making it so no one could even walk close. Like, yeah, people are going to maybe meme a little bit about like the missed ultimates from the kog'maw, but they can't even walk within a screen of their opponents because they're having to dodge ultimates nonstop.
People can meme whatever they want. Again, now that the game is over and the dust has settled, want to give props specifically to Insanity and Allorim because of the fact that we looked at their tweets before the game. We talked about how they admitted themselves that they need to play better to find wins in these games. Allorim had to deal with the most BS lane situation you could possibly have to deal with, where the jungler exists only to make your life miserable. And he still scaled. He was still able to stay relevant in the game. He lost that lane as gracefully as could be done. And then Insanity was constantly providing threat on this kog'maw, whether it was getting the kill 1v2 in the mid lane, utilizing the stopwatch with the ulti, or zoning their opponents away during these Drake fights. I think both these guys stepped up, and their performances were absolutely instrumental in making sure Immortals could get this 3rd win of the split. Now, with that said, it's time for a quick break from us. But on the other side of that, we got the Verizon post-game interview coming in with Immortals Insanity. You don't